Now that I got your attention, let's talk about Daniel. Daniel is one of the more popular names of the Bible. I mean, you have Jesus and the disciples, David and Goliath, Daniel in the lion's den, Moses in the burning bush. You get the idea. There are a lot of famous stories in the book of Daniel that pastors, Bible schools, kids' churches love to talk about. And with that said, you probably know a lot of these stories already. There are 12 books in the book of Daniel. The first 6 are where most of the famous stories take place and are decently easy to understand, while 7 through 12 are about complicated visions that get really confusing really fast. For this, we're going to be looking at chapters 1 through 7 and show how these seemingly individual stories all fit together to make one cohesive message. For starters, chapter 1 starts off with 4 guys: Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were taken from their home, Jerusalem, and forced to get training in the royal palace in the city of Babylon. These 4, along with some other dudes, got picked for this special honor because they were, wait for it, dun, 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 smart and attractive! That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Daniel was a total stunner, a head turner, a complete knockout. Anyway, let's keep going. Daniel and his friends were Jews, which meant that they couldn't eat a lot of things. Specifically, what the king was making them eat. So, Daniel talked to the guard and asked if they could only eat vegetables and water. No hamburger, no pizza, no Chick-fil-A, just vegetables and water. But God blessed them for this decision, and they got stronger and smarter than the rest of the group. The rest of the stories have a lot of parallels, which means that they might have different characters or different problems, but they're more or less the same plot. For instance, chapters 3 and 6 show God rescuing his people from the wickedness of others. Chapter 3 is all about the 3 best friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, while chapter 6 is all about Daniel. The 3 best friends wouldn't bow down to a massive statue, so they got burned alive in a crazy hot furnace. While Daniel didn't stop praying to God, so he got eaten alive by lions. Or at least that was the plan of the wicked bad guys. In both stories, God intervenes and saves everyone's life. The 3 best friends don't get burned alive, and Daniel didn't get eaten by lions. On the other hand, chapters 4 and 5 show God warning 2 different kings what's going to happen if they don't turn away from their pride. Chapter 4 is about King Nebuchadnezzar, and chapter 5 is about King Belshazzar. In chapter 4, Nebuchadnezzar has a really bad dream that only Daniel can interpret. So Daniel told King Nebuchadnezzar that he had done wrong in the sight of God, and that King Nebuchadnezzar will turn into a beast, lose his sanity, and run around with animals for a long period of time. But when that period of time was over, Nebuchadnezzar did turn his heart around and he worshipped God, saving both his kingdom and his reign. King Belshazzar, on the other hand, didn't have a happy ending. King Belshazzar and all of his friends were having a big old party, and all of a sudden, this ghost-like hand starts writing things on the wall. Again, only Daniel can interpret. So he comes in and tells King Belshazzar that he had done wrong in the sight of God and that his reign will end. That night, King Belshazzar was assassinated. Finally, we have chapters 2 and 7, which are all about God coming and rescuing his world. Both chapters are about dreams or visions, one from King Nebuchadnezzar and one from Daniel himself. Nebuchadnezzar had a dream about this big old statue with a gold head, a silver body, and other materials for the rest of the statue, while Daniel dreamt of massive, scary-looking animals. He dreamt of a winged lion, a massive bear, a multi-headed leopard, and then a big old monster that comes out of the ocean and eats the rest of them. I mean, it's enough to make you go, ah! But for simplicity, let's stick with chapter 2 with Nebuchadnezzar's statue. Each part of the statue, the gold, the silver, the bronze, They all represented a different nation that was to come after Babylon. But each nation was going to be weaker and more corrupt than the last. Well, that is until a boulder comes in and wipes out the entire statue, leaving a huge mountain in the place where the statue once stood. This boulder represents the kingdom of God coming and wiping away all other nations and establishing itself as the final kingdom. The rest of the book dives further into this idea of evil nations being destroyed by the greatness of God, and how those that are for God will be saved. In every vision and story in Daniel, you can see the same message or the same idea being played out. Humans have a pattern of opposing God. Those people and nations that want their own way and don't acknowledge God, they end up becoming violent or savage, or, even beast-like. But God reminds us of his promise that the kingdom of God is coming and will remove all those that don't follow him, all the while saving those that do. And that's Daniel in a nutshell. Cheers.